Teresa, and I have a really fun video for you today. It is all neutral everyday decor, so let's jump in. I have this decoupage paper that I got from, I believe it's called Zazzle. I don't know. I'm going to link it for you below if you want to check it out. They have some really nice pricing on decoupage papers, and they always do sales and stuff, so don't ever buy it without a coupon code or something showing in there. And I think that the deal that if you like refer your friends or whatever, you get, I think, like 30% off. I don't know. I'll link it for you below in case you're interested. Anyways, they're really reasonably priced. And so this one I am making, I've got just a little wood round that I got, I think from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I already painted it in a DIY paint, I believe in linen. I don't remember. I'm sorry. This is actually a while ago that I did this project. But I like to put down my decoupage medium, and then after that I will take the iron and actually an iron or a little mini heat press that I'm using there, and a piece of parchment paper, and kind of smooth out my wrinkles. It works like a charm. And I'll do that either way, whether I put down either Mod Podge or a decoupage gel and then let it dry and add the paper, or sometimes I'll put it on the paper when it's wet. Either way, I like to iron out the wrinkles. It doesn't get everything out, but it does a pretty good job of getting most of it out. Now I'm going to take some clear wax, and I'm just going all the way around the entire rim of this round. It does have kind of like a decorative edge, lip, I don't know, detailing item around the outside, and then I'll do a quick little bit on the actual paper part as well, because I am going to go in with some of the dark wax from DIY, and it's going to just kind of add just a little something. I honestly cannot recall if I did it with the dark wax or the black wax. They are very similar, so if you're on the edge of trying to figure out which one you would rather have, or thinking that you need both, you don't. I bought both because I was like, well, I love wax. I'm going to get the big canister of it. And that big canister, I swear, I will probably be using over the course of the next decade or something. Then I'm going to take this rag and just kind of wipe back a little bit of it if I felt like I went a little too heavy-handed in any little spots. And it's just going to give kind of like an overall very finished, polished look to it. Make sure you close your containers. Those things are going to dry out if you do not. So now that I've kind of gotten all of the waxing done, I am going to go over it with that same decoupage medium on the top, just to give it a really nice, good seal. This is going in, well, it did go to my shop. This, like I said, this was actually probably like a month ago. I probably made these projects that you're seeing on this video. Christmas has just been such a crazy season. I've got this little stand that I got from Hobby Lobby with, I want to say probably the fall stuff, when the fall stuff was out, and I took off the top part. It was like a little piece of MDF, and I wanted to use the base, so that is what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to put down the base and kind of take a little bit of my, I believe I take a ruler here in a minute to make sure that it's at least quasi even. It's a circle, so you know it's not too hard. And once I see, I'm just kind of making sure that all of the edges are good. And once we're there, I'll be able to kind of mark my spots where my actual holes are going to go. If you hear a ton of noise in the background, that is because we have a puppy. She's been with us for probably almost 4 weeks at this point. But as my children like to say, she's very cheeky. So if you see squeakers and hear yelling in the background, that's what's going on. No one's being attacked or mauled most of the time. I do say she likes to chew on my children, but all right. So I've marked all of my holes with my pencil, and now I'll just go ahead and I'm taking these. I don't honestly know what they're really supposed to be for. I saw them on Amazon. I said, those might be useful for something. I don't know what in the world I thought I was going to use them for. But instead of taking out the drill, especially when I have really tiny little screws, sometimes I'll do that. I'll just do a quick little tap with that just to give it a spot to sit in if I'm not worried about needing to pre-drill, needing to actually do any pilot holes, especially like this piece of wood. It's pine. It's really soft. You can get away without doing crazy let's try that again. Really crazy pilot holes and stuff. So a lot of times, even when I do the pilot holes, I will just go in with a screwdriver to put it all together. Here's how it turned out. The person who runs the shop that I sell at actually ended up buying that because she loved the dragonflies. All right, I have a wood board here. This one is from Woodpecker Crafts. I had to think about that for a second. Woodpecker Crafts, and I've already gone ahead and painted both sides of it using I want to call it Eclipse. I think it's called Eclipse is the name of the paint. And it's actually a milk paint from Rust-Oleum that I got off of Amazon. It's just a pretty, like, almost black. It's so dark gray, it's almost black. And I am taking one of my Chalk Couture transfers and doing a quick little fuzzing on it and then just lining it up. And that sucker was so nice and easy to line up. It's almost the exact same width, so it worked out kind of perfectly. So we're just going to do the measure, stir, bake, and frost part. I'm going to go ahead in with some of that bright white paste. You can add a little bit of water to it as your paste gets drier and drier, so keep that in mind. And just make sure if you do add water that is distilled water so you don't end up with any stuff growing in your paste, because that's kind of gross. I'm going to just take my little squeegee and go through pretty much the whole thing, minus the bowls at the bottom. That'd be adorable on some things. This one, it just wasn't going to be big enough, but I thought this was just kind of cute little thing that you can have just sitting in the kitchen. This does end up going to the shop as well. I think actually everything that I made today goes to the shop that I sell at. I sell on consignment. If anybody ever has any questions about how it works, at least where I'm at, I'm happy to share that. It's been a pretty cool experience. I get along really great with the person who runs the shop, so I do their social media too. So if you're ever curious what kinds of stuff they have there, I actually have a social media account set up for them on both Facebook and Instagram. So we do the peel, of course, and it looks amazing. I'm super happy with the way this one came out. It's super cute. And then we, of course, will just do a quick little cleanup with that. If you ever have a lot of excess or any excess of your paste, you just plop it back in the jar. It can be easier. I do end up with a little bit of pieces on the sides, but that's all right. It's easy enough to clean it up. And then I'm again going to go in with a little bit of the dark wax here. Again, I can't remember if it was the black or the dark. They're really close. Either way though, it works out just fine. But I just kind of wanted to give it a little something extra just to make sure that it looked like, I don't know, like a little extra taste of something. And to finish them, usually what I'll do with finishing any of these little projects that are more like a painted or stained, if I don't believe, if the plan in my mind at least is for them not to be outside, I just spray them with like a clear matte spray paint from Rust-Oleum, or sometimes I'll do, it's more of like an acrylic based spray. Either one of those, they seem to work really well. The stuff from chalk, it actually stays pretty good. I'm going to add this really pretty little ribbon on here. This is from Burlap Fabrics. I'll have that listed for you down below too. It's just a nice little like farmhouse, shabby chic-ish touch. So I think that it is just a quick, easy little thing to add to it. Y'all know I'm not the greatest with tying bows, so don't come for me. If you have any really great bow tutorials, I would love it if you would tell me where to go to learn a little bit better on the bows. But here's how it turned out. It's actually here sitting at the shop about to go up onto the shelves because I forgot to take a pretty picture for you that was staged, but that's okay. Now this piece is, I believe, from some antique furniture. There is a place up in Savannah, Georgia that I love to go to. It's like a warehouse, but it's like all antique furniture. And the last time I was there, I went up there and asked the owner just for their broken stuff, basically. It was really fun just to kind of dig through all that really old, dirty, and grimy stuff and do a little bit of junking. I can't wait to go back up there. It's on my list of things to do early part of next year, hopefully. But I'm just taking a little bit of this wood putty because it did have some spots where it was nailed into something and I wanted to cover it up. It's probably got a little bit of holes in there. This piece was really long and I actually cut it off because I didn't want it that long. I just wanted it as just like a decor piece. I think this is still at my shop. I know the first project I showed you is gone because the owner bought it. They're not the owner, the shop manager bought it. I'm taking some White Swan from DIY Paint and kind of just going in, and I'm using one of those fancy smancy Klingon brushes. My friend Bree over at Upcycled by Bree sells this on her website. I'll have her site listed for you below if you want to check it out. I'm still a little on the fence on how much I don't know. I don't want to say they're not worth it. I'm sure they're worth it, but you know what I mean? Like, to say if the amount of money it is worthwhile. The wax, 100%. Everything else, I'm still not 100% sure if I can say like the cost is justified. But if you love it, then I'm so glad that you love it, and I know she loves it. But I don't know. I'm still on the fence. Anyways, I'm going through and adding the wax so that it'll bring out all of those details, and then I will wipe it back if it feels like it was too much. I'll take a little small detail brush to kind of really get in to those little swirly bits. I'll do it on both sides, don't worry. I'm just not going to show you the whole thing. But I will show you, of course, that I am going to do some of the detailing here in the middle. It just really brings it to life, and I think it ends up being really, really pretty. I don't want a ton of that wax on the white part, so I do try to really focus into where it kind of sets in some more and then wipe it back, if that makes, hopefully that makes some sense, because that's really the detailing I want to show off. And of course, some of that texture that's on the back of it. This middle part, like not just the wood that's sitting up, but the part underneath it is super textured, and it gives it a really cool look. Here's how it turned out though. I think it's super pretty, and I think those little flowers and that detailing in the middle really, really comes to life. I've got another little piece. This one came, I believe, from Michael's as well. These are just some things that I've kind of had in my stash for like ever. So I have already done it in that same black, almost black paint, and then I'm going to add on some chalk couture transfers. These are just two different ones that came from like different groupings. So I'm taking in some of the Dune chalk paint. This is probably one of my favorite colors to use for things because it pops really nicely on black, and if you're putting it on top of a really light color, it's really subtle. I think it's probably in like my top like 2 or 3 pastes that I would recommend to people if they're kind of just getting started. And now I'm going to take this little Dragonfly, and it's just a really sweet little addition. I'm using this piece of like the backing to keep it to keep the sticky part off of the one that I just did, because I'm not patient and I'm not going to wait for it to dry. So by doing that, you keep it from pulling up the other paste. I could wait for it to dry, I could wax it, all of those things, but I didn't. I think it's really cool the way it looks though. I love, love, love the detail on those wings. I'm going to take some of the dried up paste and add some water to it and kind of paint the little feet to make this little pedestal. That's a little tip for you there. I've seen people do it before and it's amazing. You use your painter's tape and you stick it down, like almost make it like a little circle. I don't know. You stick it to your item on the bottom. That way your feet don't, go crazy and move all around. You're trying to paint them. I'm going to add a little bit of the clear wax on to both of those. I did 2 different pedestals. You'll see here in just a second. One is Decoupage, like the first project. And then the next one, the one that you did see, was the one that I used the chalk couture. Sorry. It's still a little early today. And I'm going in with a little bit of Dark and Decrepit dust. That again from Bree over at Upcycled by Bree. It's a DIY product as well, and I'm taking a little fan brush just to kind of add on a little something, just so I could say it wasn't waxed. And then I think I ended up adding wax anyways. The wax is my thing. I hope that you guys can appreciate it. Once I have done that, I do add a little bit of the waxing up on the top just to bring down some of the super starkness of that one project. I thought it needed it, so did it need it? Probably not, but why not? I had some extra on my brush. I don't think I even dipped in to get any more. And I'm going to do the same thing. This is from I want to say it's even from the same piece of decoupage paper. The stuff you can get from Zazzle, it's really cool because you get to pick the sizes of it. So if you have a specific project in mind, you can pick different size paper, and it takes forever to get it, but it's worth it. So here they are though, side by side, so you can get kind of an idea of those two. And I did end up keeping them separate when I went to sell them though. So this one is just super quick because I've already painted this, I'm trying to think of what it was, kind of like a tray. It's a tray. I'm going to add some feet to the bottom of it. And then I've already stuck down my piece of paper. Again, same thing from Zazzle. And I'm going to just trim around the edges and take a, I believe I just dampened my little brush here and going around to try and clean up the perimeter essentially of that tray. It's going to tear a little bit and I'm okay with that. That's kind of the look I was going for. And I'll do it across the top too because it was also too straight. You know, you don't want it one part to be straight, the other parts to be tore. Doesn't work out. Same thing like before, piece of parchment paper, my little heat press, and it'll just smooth things out, make sure they're nice and stuck down. Once we're done with that, I will come in again with some of that same decoupage gel. I get that from Kim over at My Victorian Heart. I'll have her shop listed below. We're all about like the local, or maybe not all local because Brie isn't local to me, but I'm all about the small businesses that you can support. And, sorry, I'm out of breath. Goodness, this is a lot of talking for me today. I am out of the habit of everything because I have not been making a ton of videos. All right, so what I'm doing there is I'm taking a little sharp craft knife, and if I had any air bubbles, I pop it, press it out, and really focus in on trying to get it to lay flat. This isn't the most pristine looking, you know what I mean, like it's meant to have like a little bit of that aged shabbiness to it, so that's why I thought like, well, it's not a horrible thing to do the little, you know, pop in the air bubbles. With the trays like this, because they kind of go up at the edges, it's harder to get your paper just right, so you just kind of got to work with it, right? And again, with the wax, I know guys, there's lots of wax on this one. This one is, these projects kind of lend a little bit more into like the shabby chic direction more than they really lend themselves to the farmhouse, but they're related, right? They're like really, you know, close cousins that grew up together. And this tray already has the feet and the legs on it, so it made it super quick, super easy project. And I think this one is already gone too. The lady who runs the shop might have bought this one too. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video today and that you picked up some little tips, some little tricks, some things that you like to see. If you have any questions on anything, please leave a comment below. And if you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe, and I will see you next time.